The filters on my TikTok app aren't working for some reason. But either way, is Comics and Shots. Today's subject, licensed comics. Talking stuff based on cartoons, stuff based on toys, stuff based on Bob Hope. There was a Bob Hope comic. It ran for like 100 issues. Someone has every issue of the Bob Hope comic. Someone has a shrine to Bob Hope, lined with issues of the Bob Hope comic. And it's glorious. But back to the normal stuff. There is a usual pattern with licensed comics based on TV shows or toys. Once the original property is done, that's usually like it for the comic for at least, at the time. Like maybe 2 years after that, but that's about it. Like Alf, that lasted like only 2 years after the show was canceled. Ren and Stimpy lasted maybe like a year after the original show was canceled. And then you got Sonic Archie that just kept on going on to the mid-2000s. Like, granted, there were all sorts of video games that they adapted, but it was still a comic book based on a show Bible for 2 separate Sonic cartoons that lasted from like 1992 to, once again, the 2000s. Most popular comic book based on a video game, or, sorry, did I say popular? Most successful comic book based on a video game of all time. Boggles the mind. It's as an adult, you honestly kind of like see the reason for why a lot of the mandates happened. Let me back up. Like near the end of that comic's publication, Sega ended up giving mandates for Archie comics. The one that made the most sense, that the weirdly no one complained about, because they complained about a lot of the mandates, was that there could be only one Metal Sonic and he can't be easily killed. Because, Metal Sonic, he's their guy. He's the deadliest of them all. Whereas in, like, the pre-reboot, Metal Sonics were basically just badniks who got the shit kicked out of them all the time. Except for, like, Shard the Metal Sonic, who was originally called Mecha Sonic, even though his design was clearly Metal Sonic. Ken Penders. But that's neither here nor there. And, license, but it's still just baffling, because it also makes you wonder, why didn't they make another season of Sonic SatAM or the SatAM movie if the comic was still popular? Because, they released books every month, people liked it, and yet Sega just didn't. Instead, they just made Sonic Underground. Okay. They were almost going to have a movie finale where it's like Nicole, the little computer that Sally carried around, was actually her childhood best friend, but trapped in a computer, but they all forgot because when Robotnik didn't experiment on her, she became a being of pure psychic telepathic energy. Look that up. It's kind of amazing, and I wish they did that in the comics. Other than the weird time travel origin they did for Nicole. Yeah, in the comics, they make it so that Rotor in the future invents Nicole and then sends her back in time to help out the freedom fighters. Gets even more confusing when that timeline ends up getting erased or something by Robotnik 2.0. And everything I talk about goes into Sonic. You just gotta deal with that, Daniel. Let's try and think of something else, something licensed. Utterly licensed. DMND. That had an Archie comic too. Which is weird because they also had like another comic by Mirage Comics. And the Archie Turtles, they went in some weird directions too. Like, Raphael marries a cat in the future. The song is buffering. No music for you. And also, he ends up dressing up in all black at one point, basically becoming Batman. It was weird. Yeah, it was weird. I think I ran out of steam. I basically bicycled at least 20 miles today in less than 3 hours. With that, like, comment, and subscribe. Donate if you're feeling nice. And always remember, praise be to the Blood Elk. Why would you order soup from a place 5 miles away from where you live and not tip?